want to see my property taxes go away. But I have a question. I was wondering, how does House Bill and Senate Bill 76 address the inevitable possibility of teacher salaries going up and school district expenses going up? Does that mean that we may be looking at an increase in sales tax and personal income tax somewhere down the road?
We don't have language specifically in there, and I wanted to jump in earlier when we talked, the young lady in the back asked about spending controls and talking about spending being too high. As part of that spending problem, Tom touched on it in that the teachers' unions, they have representatives in every school district that work on the contract, they do the negotiating, they look around at surrounding districts and say, they got 5%, we want 5.5% because we're getting better results than them. And so it's the looking across the county lines many times and the area lines saying, we want what they have and then more because we're performing better. So right now there's really no controls on that because a lot of the school boards get, the people on the school boards are quite often relatives of teachers. They are teachers who, they are actually teachers who live in other, they live in one district, but they are teaching another district. So they're not prohibited from voting on teacher contracts in the district where they live because it's not affecting their own contract. So sitting teachers can serve on another school board that's not their own school board. We see things like that all the time around the state. So there's really not a lot of controls on teachers' contracts or other things, unless you've got a school board like Rep. McKenzie talked about that actually says we're not going to make any changes there. I do want to address the larger spending controls because right now we have school boards that essentially have a credit card, and they're not aware of any limit because anytime that credit card, anytime they need to spend something or perceive they need something, like a $7 million football stadium, $6 million swimming pool renovation because they got pressure from the taxpayers to not put in the new one for $12 million. There are ways that school districts try to justify everything, but in the end, we've said in House Bill 76 and Senate Bill 76, we're going to take away that credit card. Right now, you're spending, 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 and handing the bill to mom and dad. Guess what? You guys are mom and dad. You're the taxpayers. And you ultimately don't have a choice in paying it if you want to stay in your home. So what House Bill and Senate Bill 76 does, that legislation says we are not going to allow the school districts, even if the sales and income tax revenues are coming in at 5%, if the cost of living adjustment that has been determined by economic factors, if that's only at 2.5%, that's the level of increase that the school districts are going to be allowed to have. On the flip side of that, if the cost of living adjustment says it's a 5% increase is what the economy has grown by, yet actual revenues in Pennsylvania say only 2.5%, whichever of the lower of the two, that will always be the max amount that the school district will be able to receive under any of the adjustments. Somebody asked me recently, what if they're both zero? I say that's fine. If we're tightening our belts as taxpayers, school districts should tighten their belts as well.
One more question from the audience. Quick note on property taxes. I went to the governmental school board meetings month after month after month, and I was a lone soldier, the lone voice in my district fighting for them to not do their tax increase of 3.27%. And they openly admitted, folks, at that meeting, that 3.27% tax increase went towards pensions and salaries. None of it went towards the kids. Pensions and salaries. Now, my question for everybody up there, I hear a lot of talk of we want to do property taxes, right to work, pension reform. What is your gut feeling of what can be done this fall? Because we all know what next year is. It's election time. I would love to, not all you are, I know in fact Mr. Gillen is not here. So if he's here, I want him to hear me here. what are you folks going to think you can get done in the fall this year, so that in the fall next year, I can vote for success instead of promises? I want to vote for something that is done and reward good work. I would love to reward good work instead of instead of promises. I don't want to say, I was incorrect in saying empty. So what do you folks feel in your gut that you can get done this fall? What is the strongest issues that you think you can get past this fall?
Look, I think we're here for one main purpose, and that's to try to get the unanimity of the elimination of the school district property tax. You've got the people here that are supportive of it.
Yes, you do. We appreciate that.
We need more support. We're up to 90 in the House, we may get 92. We need 10 more. We need your help. We're trying. Oh, the ones that are, I'm sure your officers here know who the ones are that are
Sign
not
up for
sponsored.
CAST.
The others are in the Senate. You've got 22, you need 26. The magic numbers, are 26 in the Senate and 102 in the House. You're coming up there on the 24th to rally. You don't need to be coming to us, you need to be going to the members that are not co-sponsors, to try to lobby them to get on as co-sponsors. That's the real, if that's our goal, to get rid of that property tax. And I agree, it turns my stomach every Sunday when I get the Sunday Eagle newspaper and I see how many properties are up on foreclosure for sale and how many of them are property taxed. It turns my stomach. I think, what are those poor people going to do? This has got to change. We need your help too. We can only do so much. You know where we stand. We're with you on this issue. We need more members to support us.
Go ahead.
If you're going up on the 24th, I don't know if you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. I don't know your affiliation, but frankly, it doesn't matter. First thing you need to do is to avoid seeing your rep if they're already on the bill. If one of us is your rep and we're on the bill, don't waste your time. If you have a rep that is not on the bill, go see them. If you have friends and family members around the state, contact them now. Get them to get to Harrisburg on the 24th so that they can see their rep, or have them visit their rep in their own districts. The second thing is, if you are a Republican, go to the Republican Majority Leader's office and say, I'm a Republican, and I don't know how long I can vote for Republicans who put leaders in who don't get behind something like this. If you are a Democrat, go to the Democratic leader's office and say, as a Democrat, I know this is a Republican proposal, but there are a lot of Democrats on this bill. I want you as a Democratic leader to begin leading the charge. If the Republicans aren't going to do it, then we want you to. And I will work hard for the people who are working on this. Those are the promises you need to make. The promises aren't just one way. You need to talk, and I'm not preaching at you, but this is what government's all about. This is your voice. Your voice needs to be heard in every single way. So if you're a Democrat, focus on the Democratic leadership and Democratic members and let them know they need to be on the bill. Republicans likewise. Don't threaten them and say, we're going to kick you out of office. But they know. By hearing you say, this is important to me, they hear from enough of you, they're going to take note of that. And they're going to decide what they're going to do based on how many of you let your voice be heard. Make sure your voice is heard on the 24th.
One real quick thing. 3 of the 6 Democratic leaders I was able to get as co-sponsors on the bill. 3 of our 6 Democratic leaders. They are on the bill.
Thank you, Tom.
Mr. Noel, at the late arriving center, I forgot your name, for transportation, why is it that the bulk of the finances seem to go to backup Atlanta, BARDA, SEPTA, and LTCA, put the money on the roads and the bridges? If the cities can't maintain their their funding for their transportation, sock it to the people who are using the buses, not for the citizens living out of the sticks that are getting hammered with every kind of gasoline price increase. And nobody helps us out. So if the city people want to use the buses, let them support it, not take the money away from them.
That's the more pointed question.
I just want to say, first of all, Article 8, Section 11 of the Constitution, Pennsylvania Constitution, clearly defines that if there is money collected for gas tax, which hasn't been raised since the 90s, if there's money collected for registration for cars or motor license, your license for cars, it must go to roads and bridges. Article 8, Section 11 of our Constitution says that. Senator Fulmer, Senator Eichelberger has backed me on that because we followed that trail. There's other money that's in PennDOT and in Senate Bill 1 that would go to mass transit. We have put requirements on mass transit. Our big problem is our sister transit agency in Western Pennsylvania. This one's getting better. It's not where we want it to be yet, but it is getting better. And it does, some of the money does go to the other 30-some transit agencies throughout the Commonwealth, including the rural areas, or privately owned, we have contracts. But the, any money for gas tax has to go to roads and bridges, has to, per the Constitution.
Thank you.
May I just wait? And I want to, I voted against Senate Bill 1 in the House, on the House Transportation Committee. It was actually a different, much different bill that was sent over. But the reason that I voted no was that I just think it's a 20, the one that I voted against basically amounts to a 28-cent a gallon increase on gas. And there's also, I can show you, I have the list here, there's upwards of like 20 different increases in fees or new fees and taxes. And I quite frankly just don't think at this point in time that people can afford it. I really get disturbed over what this gentleman said in terms of agreeing with you, okay? Nothing against SEPTA, but when I look at mass transit dollars and I see the money that goes to mass transit, more than 90% of that goes to Allegheny County and SEPTA, Philadelphia, okay? And I am so sick and tired of some of my colleagues, and nobody at this table, talking about bridges falling into rivers. If they're worried about bridges falling into a river, we should be focusing on roads and bridges. There are roads and bridges throughout this entire Commonwealth. They're in Philadelphia, they're in Pittsburgh, they're in Schuylkill County, they're in Berks County. That's what we should be addressing. You know, and I want to sell the liquor stores. We get $1 billion. Let's put that $1 billion in the roads and bridges. Senator, I'm sure you have something to say.
No, I'm just, there's a need there. It's, you know, I talked to Matt Roulette from the Commonwealth Foundation. I met with everybody before we did Senate Bill 1. It's what they've always talked about. It's a user fee. Use the system, you're going to pay for it. It's, we're trying to work out ways to eliminate the gas tax and just do the oil franchise. We don't have a final bill yet, but the bulk of the Senate Bill 1 was going to roads and bridges. And it's something that is needed here in Pennsylvania, and something that your commissioners have asked us for as well, from 222 to 422. And that's what the emphasis has been on the bill, and will continue to be. I'm a roads and bridge guy myself, so that's where we are on it, and we'll continue to negotiate and see where we go. I was very disappointed when we left in June. We couldn't get a darn thing done except the budget. And it just goes to show you what is happening between the House and the Senate with personality clashes. I've never made it personal. I don't think anybody here at the table has made it personal with me, but I'm not saying those in other positions aren't doing so. So we're going to have to continue to push, whether it's Senate Bill 1 or some hybrid of it, whether it's the liquor store bill that came over or some hybrid of it, or the pension bill and some hybrid of it. We have to continue to work together, get it to the governor's desk, and get it into law. Otherwise, we're going into an election year having done nothing.
Thank you.